In 2023, a familiar name made waves across the tractor media landscape. After a long hiatus, Big Bud was set to return. In an age of locked machines, problematic wiring and excessive service costs and challenge in serviceability, Big Bud was going to set out to solve a problem that curses farmers worldwide. So rising from the ashes like a phoenix, Big Bud was set to return. But they are not alone. Over the years, there have been hundreds, almost 1,000 tractor brands that are no longer with us. Many household names such as Chamberlain and Twin City are no longer there. However, there are some that have come back. Today, we're going to look at those that have returned from the dead. Before we begin, I just want to jump in and say thank you to everybody who commented on the last video. I hope those who won the hats are super happy with them. But what I liked the most was just the engagement and the conversation. The amount of inspiring stories about V8 tractors, the people that had them, who loved them, who hated them, unbelievable. So today, if there is anything that you want to comment regarding these big beasts that we're about to talk about, leave a comment below, and if you have any ideas, I will be looking into them and researching because I learned a lot from you guys, so thank you very much. That's what we're here for. Now, while the Aco name might be popular for South Africans, I must admit I had never heard of these tractors, and yet I probably should have. Founded by the Coatzes in 1986 in Hopstad in South Africa, the company would produce tractors until its closure in the early 2000s. But today, Aco are back. Many ways the same, but a little bit different. While they no longer build complete machines, they have established an extensive rebuild process where you take your existing machine and they retrofit it to give you modern technology, modern reliability, and maintaining serviceability of components. This is a fantastic idea. Old school reliability and horsepower on a chassis that is proven to work with modern comforts. Unreal. What I love the most about this is the Aco brand produced a machine that was suitable for the South African farming conditions. They used a higher linkage system that allowed farmers to move with implements required to rip deeper into the hard South African soil. Now, with extensive additions to the hydraulic system, the new versions of these machines can add an extra 10 tons of downwards pressure, allowing them to engage with the soil better. Absolutely brilliant. Now let's head to the Soviet Union. Headquartered in Belgrade, Serbia, IMT, or the Industry of Machinery and Tractors, was founded in 1947. Originally named the Central Foundry, its name was changed much later. The name Central Foundry was changed to IMT in 1954, and their first tractors produced looked something like this. That is quite a familiar design, you might say. That's because it is exactly like a Massey Ferguson 35, and this is by design. IMT chose Massey Ferguson as a license for their products, and it wouldn't be until the 1950s, 1954 to be exact, when IMT would produce its first own in-house machine. This was the IMT 555. This design came in 1964 at a time when they were producing around 4,000 tractors per year. However, at its peak, the IMT factory would produce 42,000 tractors. They were a significant player in the industry. The IMT four-wheel drive tractors included the 5500 series, which again looked exactly like a Massey Ferguson. These tractors would come with a V8, a V10, and even, I believe, a V12 Mercedes engine configuration, producing one of the biggest tractors available at that time worldwide. Yet, even though they were such a successful company producing a large number of tractors, in 2015 they went into liquidation with $186 million in debt. At that time, they were largely servicing international markets such as Kazakhstan, Ecuador, and countries within Africa. A few years later, in 2018, the TAFE company of India purchased the name IMT, once again replicating the Massey Ferguson design. In 1975 in Merredin in Western Australia, the Phillips Meriden Company was born. Laurie Phillips designed, developed and built the Phillips Acre Master tractor, which was a well-known workhorse here in Australia. In 1984, this brand was sold and under license developed a large range of four-wheel drive tractors for International Harvester. These International Harvesters wore the branding and the marketing and the familiarity of the International branding scheme, but they looked quite different, obviously looking like the Acre Masters. However, not long after, the company was sold to Howard Bagshaw and they no longer produced tractors anymore. A few years ago, the founder Laurie decided under his new manufacturing company, Philborn Manufacturing, to reproduce the Acre Master. The modern complexities of farming did not compete against the desire for simple, efficient, effective and serviceable machines for Australian farmers, and news of this broke like wildfire. Using a Deutz engine and a 6-speed power shift, these new tractors were going to rebirth the Acre Master name. Let's turn back to Montana. Big Bud. The Big Bud 747 is possibly the most famous tractor in the world. Obviously, the biggest, the best, the largest, always is going to draw heads. Then in 2023, when the big tractor company announced that it was going to produce the Big Bud tractors again, the world went mad. However, today we still haven't seen any of the production models rolling out, and herein lies the problem. Although modern farmers do want simple and effective machines, the cost of manufacturing and the challenges around parts availability, global shipping and the integration of these parts into a usable machine means that a barrier to entry exists. While the market screams for these machines, the big players with established capital programs and efficient factories don't seem to want to make them. Thereby, the old school guys, the farmers that call on their local engineers to develop and build and create, are the ones left to pick up the pieces. Yet can they afford to do this? To date, we haven't seen the new Acre Master, we haven't seen the new Big Buds, although they are getting produced. So outside of branding for some of the other machines such as IMT and Aco, who are actually just rebuilding old machines, will we ever see these big tractors produced en masse ever again? I don't think so. I think they're going to become more like a boutique special. But if you've liked this, please leave a like. Let me know what you think in the comments below and feel free to subscribe because we have more interesting tractor tales coming up in the future. Thank you.